What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Prism Jiu Jitsu podcast, as of yet unnamed. So if you have any name ideas, leave them in the comments for us, because we're still trying to figure out what we're doing around here.
The Prism fights.
So we had some things we wanted to talk about today. There was you had one.
Talking about the
We're recording.
we're talking about the tournament, right? Because we're having a tournament here tomorrow in-house.
You wanted to talk about like just general competition and stuff?
Yeah, general competition, because I know we forgot to introduce AG.
You're right.
AG, go ahead.
This is AG-san. AG Fuller. He's our recently promoted 2-stripe white belt.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for coming on. So I think this is probably going to be our format, right? It'll be the two of us, and then we'll get we'll have different members rotating through. And I think kind of our aim is to have like a full spectrum of experience. So there's somebody that kind of relates to all listeners. People going through the beginning phases of the journey can kind of get their questions answered, because typically they tend to be the same, right? Like for most people in that stage. And then hopefully the more experienced people in the show can answer the questions. So you wanted to know about competition. What specifically?
About it all, because I mean I'm not competing tomorrow because I'm injured. I'm on injured reserve, so it kind of sucks. I was trying to work up to it, but I know
we should also get to talking about like minor injuries. And stuff like that.
Injuries they suck, man.
Mm-hmm.
But AG's gonna be in it tomorrow, and it's AG's first time too. So maybe AG has a lot of good questions, because he's actually been really prepping for this, and I haven't. I just been nursing my injuries for like the last week and a half. So I'll pass it to AG.
I'd be interested to hear you talk about, like, because I know that's kind of been your big part of your jiu-jitsu journey or your life journey, right? Kind of dealing with performance, like doing well in practice and kind of getting some anxiety, like in certain moments. So I'd be interested, and I know that's something you put a lot of thought into. So yeah.
So what I've been wanting to test my new life philosophy of no stress and no worries. And it doesn't mean I don't really care about things, or things are not very important in my life, but I don't feel like there's any reason to hold on to any fear or let it control you. In my past, or I like to say my prior self, I've had issues surrounding performance anxiety, as far as like, going through a major test or any type of competition or performance. I would get very anxious and nervous, and go into the fight or flight and tunnel vision, forget my training. Whereas during the training and during the practice, I performed at a very high level and learned things very well. And then when it came time to test them, a lot of it just went out the window, and I didn't really know what was going on. And so I want to do this in a way
just
that's...
because your heart rate was so high, you were so like in that fight or flight state that you couldn't process it. I think that's super common. I think that's for most people, right? I think like getting nervous and having that super heightened state is just like because you care a lot. But I think there are certain people who have like varying levels of peak or optimal like nervousness or excitement. And like me, my optimum level is very, very high, like shaking, scared, But for some people it's lower, So you probably wouldn't be on that lower end of the spectrum for your optimal level, you think?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess I would get into that fight or flight mode at a lower threshold. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean like I do better like fully in that fight or flight because I'm an overthinker. So if I get up like metaphorically, like so high that I can't think anymore. Like I'm just on like fight or flight autopilot. Then I can no longer overthink. So I do better in that way. Whereas like when I'm calmer, like the one fight I lost as a pro, I felt like this is what happened. Like I was so calm. If backstage, I thought I had nailed it. Like I was like, dude, sports psychology, I've got it down. Like I was so calm, like laughing and joking. And then when I went out there, I got put into a choke that it is by far my best. Like people in my instructor school, like I'm known. Like nobody gets me in that choke. And he put me in that, and I was so calm that I had the ability to like look up and see like people in the front row and like people I didn't know. I'm like, oh, what's this person gonna think? You know what I mean? Like oh my god, like look at these people. What's my coach gonna think? And then I got in that panic, and then when you're panicking, you can't survive chokes. So that there was other aspects to that, and obviously one being that my opponent was obviously very skilled, but I feel like normally I would have escaped that choke, and it was because I was so calm. So when I'm high enough, like on that spectrum, that I can't think, then I can't overthink, and then I can just react. But I think in order to have that, you have to have like drilled and trained so much that is your natural response, so you don't like go back to your bad habits
Yeah, that was totally what I was thinking as you were talking about that. As far as like, to me, it's like it's situational, and also how ingrained that training is in you, where even in that situation you do it automatically.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously as a 2-stripe white belt, I don't have that ingrained in me. So I feel like approaching it through controlled breathing and trying to stay in a calmer space that's just what I'm gonna try.
Yeah. No, I think that it's the way to go. I think for most people it's better to be calmer. I think definitely, like you said, it's situational, right? Like if I was gonna take a test, like a written test or something, obviously I can't be so nervous that I'm like on autopilot for the test. And I think jiu-jitsu, more so than fighting, favors calmness. It requires more thinking, whereas like in fighting, you don't have time to think anyways. The only way to do it is just be reacting. So but jiu-jitsu is much more of a mental thinking game, so I think calmer is better for this situation, for the competition that you have coming up this weekend. How do you feel beforehand? Do you feel nervous already? Or do you get nervous on the day of, or what's your process like?
Actually I feel pretty good. I haven't been feeling any kind of nerves. Maybe like it's like at 10%.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think 10% is like solid, But did you want to ask anything or anything? You wanted to bring it up. So what did you want to like talk about and learn?
Oh no, just how is it like? Because we're always rolling with each other, and there's no audience. How is it with the audience, and how is it? What tips would you give like on scoring? I know you gave it to us in class. Like you saw other guys in the last competition, they would go knee on belly for 1 second and then go to mount.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Definitely one of the biggest things I can tell people that want to compete is to know the rule set in which you're competing. And I have thought about this recently, and a lot more recently, and I think it can be favorable to try to compete within one rule set. So like if you're going to compete within ibjjf rules, or if you're going to compete within sub-only rules, it's really hard to be at the highest level of both. Maybe in the beginning it doesn't matter so much, but you'll find that your style favors one more than the other. And when I practice, or when you practice, you want to be thinking about the rule set that you're going to compete in. Or if you don't want to compete, right, what is your goal for for training. If you're just trying to get in shape, then just do all the rounds. That's going to happen. Like that'll take care of itself. Roll with a certain level of intensity, things like that. If your goal is for self-defense, then you need to be thinking about that when you roll. Like if you're in a weird position where like, well, he hasn't passed my guard, but yes, he'd be smashing you in the face, then you need to be aware of that, right? I would even go far enough to where if I knew the training partners enough, like when I was fighting, if I was in a jiu-jitsu class, if I knew them enough, I would just tell them like, hey, I'm just going to shadow some punches here. You do the same for me, just so that we're aware, like, hey, we'd be getting punched here. And then to come back around full circle in terms of like the points in which you're competing in, I'm always like, I keep score in my head for the rule set that I usually compete in. But I could tell you, like, I probably wouldn't do well in sub only because I've only done points competitions, and so I've built a game around like building up a lead and then going for submission once my lead is built up. But I have like a very slow game that doesn't give up any positions, which can be not so, like, for you to do sub only, like, you can take more risks. You might be able to jump out of positions to get a sub. So know the rules and practice within those rules when you compete, when you train. Like, think about the rules, keep score in your head, because I could tell you that I've beat people who I beat people in competition that I know are better than me. Maybe not now, but at the time, like, people that were, so I used to be at 10th Planet School, and there was guys that I would compete at that were at other 10th Planet affiliates, and in practice they were better than me, but I knew the rules better, and I won because of it. So is that the coolest way to win? No, but I'd rather win that way than to lose, right? So, obviously go out there and, if you can win with style, then cool. But at the end of the day, winning's winning. So know what your goals are and practice for those things.
So when you say like you get someone like in side mount, right? Or side control.
Yeah.
Like how many seconds you got to hold them down?
Yeah, so that would be an example of like one specific rule set. And for most point scoring rule sets, because there'd be sub only, submission only, and there'd be point scoring rule sets, and then there's different point scoring systems within that. So most point scoring systems, you have to hold each position for 3 seconds.
3 seconds. So are you counting as 3 seconds at your head, or are you looking at the ref?
I look at the ref because everybody counts 3 seconds.
Because he's going like this, right? 1, 2. I saw some.
Yeah. They usually do the arm extension. Yeah. But not always, and they definitely don't have to. Well, maybe in ibjjf they do have to. But if you go to smaller tournaments, whatever, they may not do it. So I will stare at the ref because I want to make sure I get the points. Yeah.
That's being very aware though. Like you're the guy's trying to scramble out, and you're just like, you're looking at the ref while he's trying to scramble out.
Yeah, of course, I'm only going to do that if I have it locked. Like I'm not going to sacrifice my position in order to look at the ref. And also, another key or very important thing that you want for a competition is you need to make sure the ref, you want the ref to like you.
Okay.
So like I'll probably be reffing your matches tomorrow, so you're screwed. So you want the ref to like you because there are subjective calls, that could be on the line. And if you go out there and you don't shake the ref's hand, or you give him arguments, things like that, you're probably not going to get that call the next time around because you will see the same refs. There's not a shitload of refs out there in your given area. You're going to see the same ones. So, if I do that, if I do look up at the ref, like I'm not like staring at him like, come on. I'm just glancing up like politely. And he knows the refs are competitors too, so they know like I'm just checking for my points. So yeah, when you go out there, you bow, shake hands with the ref. They're usually going to be black belts anyways, so they're going to like expect that. Bow and shake hands with your opponent, things like that, and be respectful because that honestly will help you get some calls in your favor. That was off. I didn't even answer your question. Your Oh, your question was about the 3 seconds.
No, but I like this is all interesting stuff to me.
Nice.
AG would agree, right?
Yeah. being
So
aware.
you should buy Nick a coffee and a donut and
Donut. Nick likes donuts.
No processed sugar, please.
Yeah, we won't even go into the nutrition this time, but
we could get into that too as well. But finishing on this quickly, just to answer your original question, was about holding things for 3 seconds. One thing I see way too much when I'm reffing is that someone, say, gets a takedown, and you're always going to get your takedown points as long as you don't get rolled over. But they get a takedown, and maybe they land in side mount, and they land a guard is what I meant to say. They pass the guard to side mount, and then they pop up immediately to knee on belly, and then they go to mount, and then maybe they hold that, or maybe they take the back, and they did all those things, and then all they're going to get is 4 points. They're going to get the last thing that they landed in. Whereas if you pass the guard to side mount and you go 1, 2, 3, wait for your points. Okay, knee on belly. 1, 2, 3, wait for your points. Okay, mount. Now instead of getting 4 points, you would have ended up with, 3, 5, 9, and if you took the back, 13 versus 4, right? So that's a really big mistake I see a lot of beginners make, is they rush through the positions because they're so excited. And obviously, this all takes practice. The more you compete, the less tunnel visioned you are, and then it gets easier to think of these things. Let me turn that off. That wasn't me, actually.
Oh.
Did you get a call?
I don't know.
Okay. It's not going to stop the recording, is it?
No,
Okay, good. Okay. But yeah, did that answer what you wanted to know mostly about competition?
Yep. I mean, you have questions, AG?
Oh,
Do you have questions, AG?
I don't really have. I don't have any questions. No, it's more like I have. I kind of have a game plan in my head as far as how I want to approach this, and I was talking to a friend about it. I told a friend, and she was like, "Wow, you must be so excited," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm trying to, I'm staying even keeled about it because of I see it as a good test for my approach on life now, and I haven't had a stressful test yet, even though I've been in this for a couple of years, I guess. And
in this like new philosophy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, it's like I'm not holding on to or holding space for victory or defeat in my head. And it's more like if I can go through this competition and not get in that fight or flight response, it'll be a victory for me, hand raised or not.
Yeah, and it'll be a win in your life as a whole, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think that everyone I think that everyone that trains should compete at least once, because depending on what your goal is, if you're just learning for your life or you're learning to actually compete, it's really a good I've learned so much about how to handle my outside life just through competing, as well as we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but as well as my personal faith or whatever, kind of what your approach to it is what ends up happening organically, just because when I approach things, I just I believe in God, and so I just believe, well, if I win or lose, it's all part of God's plan, so it's going to work out for the best, and believe that or not believe that, but that's what I think. And so it's hard for me to go in a panic, because I'm well, ultimately, I do want to win, so I'm nervous because it's important to me, but overall in my life, it's going to be fine, and I'm going to grow from this towards whatever my ultimate fate or destiny is, So either way, we're going in the right direction. So I think that'll help you, because that's always been a huge help for me. So yeah.
No, I think that's all my questions regarding competition. But I'll be here. What time does it start, man?
We'll get the kid started at 9. You want to keep score? Want to be a scorekeeper? Could use the help.
You better
if you're gonna be
study.
here. Well, I'm gonna tell you the points. Like all you gotta do is write them down.
Okay. Sure. I mean, I can do it. Yeah. I mean, I do it here with the kids
Okay.
when we're doing it. You
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
We'll just have a whiteboard, and I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna hold up 4 fingers, and you just go 4. That's all you got.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, so you just want me to write it down?
Yeah. Keep the score. Yeah. It's
no
the
problem.
scoreboard thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That should be fun. Yeah.
Let's talk about injuries. What do you got going on?
Oh, so I have no idea, man. It's a half neck injury and a half trap injury where I couldn't put my head all the way back on the ground or the mat, laying down. It just gave me a big shoot of shock all the way down my arm.
How did you get it?
I felt some pain, so I came in here on last Tuesday and I felt some pain in the back. It wasn't bad. It was like, I can deal with it, you know? And then I started rolling with a couple guys and it just gradually got worse. And then I end up rolling with AG at the end. I was like, I'm done. I'm like, my neck hurts. Then AG needed a partner. I said, I'll roll with you, AG. And then it got all bad. So I should have just stepped out and not rode again, and I would probably been okay.
That's hard to do, right? Like when I should sit this one out. It's just like, I just want to get in there.
Yeah, because I was all warmed up, you know. When you know how it is, man. When you don't really feel it until 20 minutes after class, and but I was already feeling it, so I was like, man, I'm screwed, you know. Yeah.
So I had some nagging, or I had some issues with some injuries starting out. Here, I'm kind of a older guy and hadn't done any physical training in about 4 years prior to starting here in February, so about 5 months ago. And so I don't know what happened, but my right knee just after one class just swelled up like massive. And I couldn't walk. I didn't go check it out really because I didn't feel like it was torn or anything. But I found Ben Patrick's videos on YouTube, the knees over toes guy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and I felt like at that point in my jiu-jitsu training, I wasn't feeling super wrecked after every class. Whereas the first 2 months I was like, I really couldn't do anything else physically other than the jiu-jitsu. I was just wiped out for the whole week, you know, doing the number of classes I was doing.
Yeah.
So getting back into the gym and doing the knees over toes exercises and incorporating other strength training, like full body strength training, and focusing on very strict full range of motion exercises has really kind of I haven't felt any kind of injury type thing in.
Isn't it crazy how people there's a relationship for a lot of people that think that lifting correlates with getting injured, but if you're lifting properly, it should be keeping you from getting injured. I would argue for athletes, the main purpose of lifting is injury prevention. If you're lifting properly and if your program is proper and you're balanced, everything's balanced out, things like that. I had a really similar experience. My knees would always hurt and I had tendonitis. And then I finally found a good physical therapist. Because when you're injured and you do things like this, you go to your standard family practice doctor. They just tell you well, stop doing that. But I finally found a physical therapist who was had been a collegiate wrestler, and then he did a bunch of tests. And he's like, oh well, the issue is just your butt, your glutes are just way too weak, and started lifting, and I never have any knee pain anymore. Sometimes now I get some back pain if I've been driving too much, but then I just work my back out. I find if I work my chest out, actually, for whatever reason, whatever I have going on, it balances my shoulders out a little more, and then my back feels better. But yeah, I've been working his stuff more and more. I didn't know his name. I just know his ATG, Athletic Truth Group. What's his knees over toes guys on Instagram, right? For everybody.
I think that's his handle for all his stuff.
Yeah.
Knees over toes guy.
Definitely the best free resource out there online, I think.
Well, they do online coaching as well, and I've got my daughter in their program.
Nice. What does he charge for the?
I don't know. I just gave her my credit card.
Yeah. I want to say I feel like it's pretty reasonable. I've looked at it before and it was nothing like. If you can afford jiu-jitsu lessons, you can probably afford that. It's nothing insane. But he has so much free stuff. You just follow him on Instagram, watch his YouTube channel. I've never paid for anything out of his. Maybe I should though, because I feel like he's helped me out a lot. But
just send him a gift.
Yeah.
I bought the shorts. The shorts are really cool.
Oh, he sells merch?
His wife makes the ATG shorts.
Oh, okay.
They're out of stock on Amazon right now.
He sells them on Amazon? Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, I'll look into that. So you hurt your neck a little bit. So you had pain beforehand. You don't remember there being like an acute injury thing?
No, it was just a little. It's a nerve that's jacked.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know where I got it from, man.
I find, like I told AG this when we started, and to give you some hope as well, I tell everyone this is like. It tends to be the longer you've been training, if you stay consistent, the longer you've been training, the more spread out your injuries get because your body becomes like accustomed to it, and you just become, and then you get flexible in the proper places and stronger in the proper places. You just get more used to anything that you do regularly. The people I see that get injured the most are the people that are on and off.
Yeah.
And they come from like nothing to full training, and then nothing to full training. Those people are always jacked up. Obviously, there's a catch there because when you get injured, you have to rest some. But yeah, it's always frustrating to get hurt. So for people out there, if you deal with injuries, like in my first year and a half is when I had like in that first year and a half I probably had like 7 injuries, and nothing major. I never had surgery or anything like that, but sprains here and there and tendonitis, like I mentioned. And then now I think probably in the last 7 years I've had maybe 2 injuries. So it drops off really quickly if you train consistently.
Well, I think this is this one's more of a sprain because I had similar injuries surfing because we're always using our necks, and our necks are always up because that's how you paddle. You're not on your back, you're on your stomach, so you have to raise your head. Right. So I mean I didn't hear anything crack. It was just all nerves and muscle getting stretched out, Yeah. So, and I train. I mean, before I came into jiu-jitsu, I was training pretty hard, at the gym. I tell everybody, man, I'm pretty honest. I work out with the chicks, man. I do body pump. It's like endurance training. You go in there. You go in.
45, right?
No, I just go to 24 hour. 24 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll bring guys in with me, and you got to keep it light, man, because you're doing 100 reps. And even the coaches there, the teachers, they'll tell the guys like, this isn't strength training, this is endurance training, and that's kind of where what I've been trying to work on is more just like that endurance training. It's like high reps, low weight, get heavier as you go. But I think my neck just got pushed in the wrong direction, man. I think it's already strained, like lightly, like minorly strained, and then it got super strained after, yeah, but it's getting better, man. It's getting better. I mean, I wouldn't be here like if I couldn't even work for like a week because every time I look up at because I'd have to look at my computer to type up reports, and I would just get a headache because just looking up, like moving your neck up, and I had to move my computer down, and then my neck would get hurt from looking down all the time. So it was like it's a win-lose situation, man.
Were you just like sleeping on your face?
Bro, I have no idea how I don't think I slept from Tuesday all the way to like Saturday. I don't even think I slept like 2 hours a night.
Could you lay down? Were you just like sleeping, sitting up?
I have no idea, bro. Like
it was all
messed. It was all blur, man. I mean, I would wake up and then because there's this little corner I use that's on my stairwell, and then I can massage out. It's real sharp, right? So I can put it in places in my, nerves and all that stuff to massage out. So I'd wake up every half hour trying to massage it out, and it would loosen up, and I would go to sleep for another half hour and wake up for another half hour. And yeah, but it is what it is, man. I mean, I kind of understood like this was going to happen because it's something new for me, So it'll get better, man. It's getting better, you know. I mean, when I came in, Nick was like, your posture's all jacked, bro. I'm like, man, I thought it was actually pretty good today. Because
you came in looking like an old turtle, bro.
Because I don't have to like, you know, I don't have to go like, because usually I'm just looking down for like the last 2 weeks, but I'm looking up. I'm like, I'm getting better, you know. But I guess I still look like an old turtle.
Maybe when I saw you on Saturday, I didn't notice because I guess we were sitting and you were barbecuing and eating, so I guess, you know, we're mostly looking down anyways. So, right.
It was a hot day too, so it was warm.
That does help.
Yeah, the warmer. So one thing I figured out is like you don't want to ice before you go to sleep because it tightens up everything.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is like there's knots in the nerves, so that's what's making everything super tight. And when you ice it, you just tighten it more, and you can't sleep, dude. It's like, dude, you just like
for an injury, for a tension related injury, if you're gonna ice, you got to heat afterwards.
Yep.
For like a inflammation type injury, like an acute, like an impact injury. Yeah. Then you typically don't want to go heat. You just want ice because you're trying to bring it down. And even that though, that's just what I've learned through experience. I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. But
no, I mean you're right, man. I mean,
yeah. Even with that, people are saying less. People are leaning away from ice because it's been proven that it does. It certainly helps pain, but now people are arguing, like, does it actually help recovery? Because that inflammation is actually part of your recovery process. For me personally, it feels better. So,
I mean, I was trying to bring down inflammation so I can get to the nerve, you know, with my corner, because I couldn't get to it because it was so inflamed, the muscle. Yeah. So it was just hiding behind the inflammation. I was like, dude, if I don't get to the nerve, it's never gonna get better, you know.
So I feel like the healing process for injuries is you got to get the mobility back in.
I've been practicing. So this is one of the things whenever I get injured, because I mean, I'm an older guy, I'm 44. I'm a surfer. Got injured a bunch of times surfing. Is that, you know, if you got to keep your mobility. So I try to practice I do yoga, I do, you know, other exercises, trying to balance out my body. So like, because you know what happens when you bust a knee and you put more pressure on the other knee, then you bust the other knee and you got two busted knees. So you got to try to like keep the other one strong, you know, and continue to work the thing that's injured. So like you're still at somewhat of a balance, you know.
Have you gone in the sauna yet?
Yeah, I've been in a sauna like that's one thing I've been staying pretty true to, like 3 to 4 times a week with the injury. Yeah, it's helped, man. But you know, it's like once it gets cold again, you know, like your muscles start tightening up again. You got to keep it loose, and I just hate when it's so tight. Because you guys felt my muscle today. I was like, dude, man, last night
it's pretty tight.
I stretched last night. I stretched because, you know, I stretch before I go to bed because it's easier for me in the morning. And the damn thing tightened up on me again last night.
Forgot what I was gonna say. Actually,
I got a couple of things.
Yeah.
So my I mean, I'm not an expert at all in this, but I feel like there's what I'm learning, and I'm always, you know, out there, you know, trying to soak in all the information. We're just so blessed these days with amazing amounts of
accessible
information, and you know, really a lot of experts out there, you know, wanting to help other people. And so I've been learning, and one of the things I've learned as coming in is that if I'm rolling and I'm in a controlled state, nasal breathing, and not overexerting.
Controlled, like your own state, or like the position?
My own state of awareness and exertion. So if I'm rolling and I'm nasal breathing, I'm not going to overexert myself.
Yeah.
And also I can endure the entirety. I won't redline.
Yeah.
And I won't get amped up in over. You know, there's a lot of, you'll do things when you get amped up that to try to power through things, and that can cause a lot of nagging injuries.
Yeah, I definitely think that our points tie in together because, like what I was talking about, as you get more experience, you get injured less. I think that's a big part of it is just because you'll learn how to be in control. And then, yeah, 'cause it's definitely like when you're like trying to force something, that's when the injuries happen. Because when you do jiu-jitsu well, there's usually never like two opposing forces. Like you're going with them, and so the injuries happen a lot less. So being in control of yourself and being in control of what's going on in the match makes you less likely to get injured, for sure. Well, you get some recovery coming soon, man. Hopefully next week you'll be back in. Also, we should disclaim that none of us are experts in
no, we're not, man.
Things like this.
It's just,
We're bullshitting.
But I think everybody's body's different too. Like the way you heal and the way you recover. Everybody has their way of doing it that works. Like
That's true. Yeah.
I know when I messed my back up surfing, like it was a big day. I was stuck. I had popped up on a wave and my back popped, and I was like, dude, like, and it was like a mega set, man. I don't know how I lived through that, but
your back popped. Did you fall and then get wrecked?
No, I just was popping up on a wave.
Yeah.
It was a really. What happened is like these waves were kind of flat at the top, so I like bigger waves because as your board's going down, you pop up. You don't really have to put your leg out because your board's already fallen.
Okay.
But this wave was kind of flat at the top, and then you would take the drop.
Okay.
So those are harder because you're trying to like pop off a flat, like say flat ground.
Uh-huh.
So you have to get your knee all the way through. Like if you think about it, when your board's going down, your knee doesn't have to go out. Your leg don't have to go out that much because it's already fallen.
That does make sense.
So like this one was like a flat big wave, and I was like, I knew it, dude. I was like, man, my back's kind of like, it was like, it was stiff, and then I popped it, and I was stuck, and then that whole time I just kind of learned.
So you popped it? Were you just like on your board, just like,
Oh, dude, I popped it, man, and then I was I went down the wave and I just went straight.
Oh, okay.
And then I just like I was like it exploded behind me because what happens if you just if you get the face of the wave, you're safer.
Yeah.
Than when you pop when you go straight because the whole thing's exploding behind you. And I just held on my board, bro. I was like, I hope I survive.
Where were you?
I was over at Sunset Cliffs, man, on a big day.
Oh, it was big.
Yeah, it's a place called North Garbage, man. Everybody kind of knows it. When the place gets big and
North Garbage.
It's called North. There's a North Garbage and South Garbage.
Why is it called that?
Gosh, I think people used to throw garbage down there back in the 20s. No, it's a cliff.
Yeah, it's Sunset Cliffs.
Yeah, Sunset. Yeah.
Down there, it's my favorite beach. It's
I don't know what.
Wait, it's called Garbage Beach?
Yeah, people used to throw
it
garbage.
used to be trash, like
to be
trash
trash.
everywhere, and they cleaned it, or?
I don't know the origin of the name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we call this point North Garbage and South Garbage, and like North Garbage is the right, South Garbage is the left. If you think about it, like you're going right and then you go left. Like on the wave. And this was a right because I'm a reg foot. I'm a regular. I do
surf
reg.
left foot forward.
I surf reg, yeah.
Right-handed means you surf left foot forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go right, you're facing it. If you
Okay.
go left, you're facing left.
Is that easier, facing the wave? Or facing away from it?
When it's on your back, it's harder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, waves on your back, yeah. Especially
okay.
when you're in a tube because you have to grab. You have to grab rail, So...
Somehow grabbing you have to grab the edge of your board if you're facing the wave because you don't go straight.
If it's behind you,
you take a turn, so you go with the crash of the wave.
If you're facing it,
I can't surf,
if you're facing the wave, if say the wave's right here, it's easier to keep your board like leveled because you have your toe to help you balance. But instead of your toe, when you're going back, if you're going left and it's the waves to the back of you, have to lift it a little bit because your heel doesn't have enough power. Like your toe does.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because you can't push with your heel. Your heel's just where it is.
Yeah, it is.
You can push your toes down.
But you can always like kind of be on your toes.
Right.
But yeah,
dude, you got to teach me how to surf, man. I've tried several times unsuccessfully. You know what, dude? I went surfing when I was like 12 or something, and I got it real fast, like 3-4 tries, and I was up, and then I surfed for like a week, and it was in Carlsbad before I lived there, but my friends took me there, and I could do it, and then I went. Didn't surf forever, and then because it was never my thing, I just had a friend that surfed one summer. He brought me, and then we moved here, so I was like, I guess I gotta learn. And I've spent probably a grand total of like 3 hours out there, and haven't gotten one.
You're way more flexible than me. You know.
I can't get my knees up though. Like I can't. My legs are long, and I'm not flexible in that straight up and down direction. Like pulling knees to chest.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I can never get my toes. Like when I bring my legs up, I can't get my toes clear of the board, and I catch my toes on the board, and then I fall over. Also, when you're 12, you don't like injury doesn't even like occur to you.
Yeah.
You know. So you're just like full send, and then it works
Yeah.
out. So now I'm like, oh my god, I cannot get injured. You know, because it's my whole job. You know. So it's a lot harder when, you know. But also in Carlsbad, there's a lot of like shore breaks. So
Yeah.
it's like pretty like sometimes you're like dropping in and you're like, I can see the sand like right
But
there. You know?
but there's such a good place in Carlsbad to learn. It's called what's it called? Turnarounds. It's just like, you know, you go out Palomar Airport, that's at McDonald's, and you kind of go straight.
Oh.
And there's just like little sand. This
I live on the
lot
other side, yeah, but
that
you're on that's
people
the
can
south
park.
side.
People
Yeah.
park right in the middle. They watch the sunset and that shit.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But there's a
what you're talking
cliff. You just go down there, bro. Like there's so many. Usually on any day, man, except if it's a long period swell where it'll just everything's closing out. It's like one big wave closing out.
about. Yeah.
You can just pick a spot and learn. And no one would be surfing with you. Just be out there with you and the sharks.
Yeah.
You know, like no. But what I was trying to get back is like this
I was
one.
gonna say, let's get back on
This one
jiu-jitsu.
reminds me of the injury I got on my back. Because it took a minute, for it to heal, and it was all nerves. It was because it was a sciatic thing.
Yeah.
And you just for me, it's like trying to massage that nerve out, to lengthen it back out. Because in my head, what I see is when you wreck a nerve, it like gets knotted and it becomes super tight, and that's where all the shock and pain comes from. And you have to try to
the muscle around the nerve.
Yeah.
It's got to run through your fascia.
Yeah, and you have to try to lengthen it again.
Not the nerve,
the muscle. Yeah. You're trying to lengthen it back out to try to get it back to where the mobility was prior. And I think then my neck is getting there. It's just going to take a couple more days. And I talked to my my teacher over at 24/7 because she just had shoulder surgery, and she had her whole trap kind of, fixed. And she was just like, "You got to rest." And I'm like, "But when I work out, I feel better because it's warmed up." You know what I'm saying?
I feel like most people now, even after people have like ACL surgeries, like the physical therapists are getting motion back in immediately. That's tends to be like what the way that people are going.
But half would be good though. I've been going on my classes there because if I come here, the way
you can't go full blast. You can't just go back and train.
Yeah, the way I think about it with jiu-jitsu is like there's unpredictables, right? Like you could say, "Don't grab my neck," and someone's gonna just out of like nowhere.
It's not possible.
It's not possible because it's like instinct, and you're
when
trained to grab neck.
When you're rolling with a white belt.
Yeah.
Because my only move is the head and arm choke.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
but over there, I know what's coming.
Right.
Like it's predictable, so I can do the weight stuff, the high rep stuff, but keeping it like 75% of what I usually do, and it actually helps and it's keeping me in shape to do this, because I don't want to lose it. Because remember how I was, man, when I first came in, I couldn't even go 2 rounds, bro, run round. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I was crawling over, like, you were like, one more round, Ian. I'm like, God damn it. I was crawling on my hands and knees, bro, like over to like the next one. You're like, you good? I was like, sure, bro, whatever. But now I can go like,
Everybody, I get that question a lot. Actually, AJ asked me that when he started training too. And then and my wife said something about it too. Because like when we have beginners come in and like first day, I'm like, all right, we're doing 6 rounds. You're like, 6 rounds of what? It's like, you'll figure it out. Because I do it intentionally too. I know that it has some cons and it's not the best for, but I also without telling you, put you with certain people who I know are not, or I mean, so if you come in, the class is empty, there's one person, but especially at night if the class is full, I put you with the beginners with certain people who I know are not going to just take advantage of your beginnerness and crush the person. But
I got crushed so many times. What are you talking about?
well, when you started, we didn't have that many people in classes. That was January. We'd only been open for like 2 months at that point. So.
Dave was smashing me.
But it took me like about 2 months to get to do the full rounds with just
Mm.
Now I can go like 6 rounds.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. Like
there's a number of reasons why I like have beginners roll right away, but a big part of it is it washes out all of the people with egos.
Yeah.
That like if sooner or later you're gonna have to come in and just gently get your ass kicked.
Shit, man.
Or not gently, depending on who your partner is. But like I said, I try to give you the right partners. But
when I have
if
to
you
roll
can't
against
deal with
AG
that,
and Randy when I was in the beginning, bro, like give me just give my ass.
Dude,
kicked.
I think like we have a couple people that when we opened that came from experienced people that came from other schools, and they're like, dude, it's so like, and I think this is true for the most part. It's like they're like, dude, there's so many like all the cool people here are cool, or like nice, like friendly, cool in that way. Everybody's chill. Everybody talks. Afterwards, I'm trying to go home, and everybody's just fucking talking.
You're like, man,
but I love it. That's what I want. So but like I had an experienced person come from the gym, and he's like, dude, there's so many assholes that come in over here. Everybody here is so nice or whatever, and I'm like, dude, we've had assholes like they just can't hang, like they can't be the low man on the totem pole, and then they won't stick around, so that's part of it. If someone comes in, like for example when we first opened, we had a guy that came in that was like 59, 60. Obviously I treated that situation differently.
Okay.
Like if they physically can't handle it, but I'm like, dude, you gotta roll. If you need, you can take as many rounds off as you need to, but you have to try. You have to be in the sparring. Because if you don't have the attitude or the personality where you're going to be able to lose, then you're not going to stick around. You probably won't fit in as part of the team. So I realize that I sacrifice some potential members, but overall it makes our entire program better.
I talked to one of my friends. He's in Arizona. Did I tell you about this? Yeah. I tell you about. Yeah, he's a black belt in karate. And he just started jiu-jitsu in Arizona at a Gracie school. And we were texting back and forth. And, I've been doing it for now, let's say 3 months now, I think. But 2.5 months or whatever, because I haven't trained for 2 weeks because of the injury. But I asked him, I was like, bro, when you went in, like, what did they do with you, man? Did you guys roll? And he's like, what's rolling? I'm like, bro, really? He's like, yeah, they went in there and they taught me a couple of techniques, and then I went home. Now I'm gonna come back and like, did you roll at all? He's like, what do you mean by rolling? I'm like, it's just sparring in jiu-jitsu. He's like, nah, man, I didn't roll at all. They just did teach. I was like, bro, like, then how you gonna learn? Because you learn on the mat. You don't learn. You can learn the drills, right? Like me and you, like we trained those. Remember we trained the drills at home, my house. I haven't used I haven't used them, but you have to be live to learn how to use them, right?
You do, and actually, so AJ and I had a conversation about this on the phone the other day. It was like sometimes you're rolling and you're like, dude, I'm not necessarily like applying the moves that we practice in class, right? That's what we talked about. And so, I think that happens to everybody, and like including myself when I trained. But you have to put in enough roll time to be able to get comfortable enough there that you can then have the wherewithal to be like, what was that move? And then like recall it in the moment, and also it's like, it would be like if I taught you, like if I was going to teach you a language and I taught you vocabulary, like for example, I tried to learn Italian before I went to Italy, and I would listen to like a podcast that was teaching me Italian, but I could never get anywhere with it because I never spoke to anyone. You know what I mean? So like I learned all this vocabulary and stuff, but I could never have a conversation. And then when I was in the moment, like when we went to Italy, like I knew the words, but I was so unused to like the conversation. I was like, and I just responded in English, because I was so uncomfortable. So you need to roll. I get, so not all Gracie academies are the same. So I don't want to make it, but there are some, and it's not a Gracie thing.
I shouldn't have put Gracie on blast.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of really great, a lot of really, really great Gracie schools. So I just want to clarify because the way you said Gracie was kind of disdainful. But Gracie school.
I didn't mean it that way. I know I shouldn't have put them on blast, but I was just like, they're great schools, but.
Some of them, but there's thousands of them. So obviously, some are going to be good and some are not, because they're not the same people. That's just an affiliation that you can pay for.
But my thing is like when I heard like, because I mean, I come from this school where like you have to gain your 10,000 hours to be an expert.
Yeah.
And you already get us going our 10,000 hours from the start, from the first class, you know?
Yeah. And here's the reason why, like, there are schools that don't let anyone roll. The schools that I've seen that do this are not Gracie schools. I'm changing, but there are some schools that include Gracie schools that don't let you roll for like a month or something like that, or 2 months or something. Like, you can only do the drills.
Just drill.
I would argue that by the time you come to roll, you probably aren't going to remember those moves unless you've only done like 3 moves for those months, in which case you're never going to use those moves anyways because you're not good enough to get to the position where those moves are. But but there are other schools that, and this doesn't include Gracie schools. I've seen 2 schools, they were just randomly. You couldn't roll until you got a blue belt.
Really?
Which is, you cannot earn a blue belt. Yeah. you can't earn a blue belt if you've never rolled. Like, you are not a legit blue belt if you haven't grappled before. My instructor, one thing he used to say that I agree with a lot is that he would like.
I mean, going back to AG's thing is like, part of like jiu-jitsu is like fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
Like in controlling your
and
controlling your tempo
there.
and controlling yourself, and not letting you get to that that point where you're just blind instinctually doing shit,
Yeah.
And how are you supposed to do that if you're not rolling? Because that part of rolling is, you remember like when I first came, I would and you're. Yeah.
We're gonna get.
It's Nick's fault. It's Nick's fault. And now I'd really learned how to control my breathing through just rolling, and I think that's my biggest improvement is like the breathing. But he'll let me know, like, motherfucker, you gotta start breathing again. But that's
like every 45 seconds when we're rolling.
Yeah.
Ian, breathe.
I know, but I mean,
Ian,
it's gotten
breathe.
better.
You've improved though. You've improved.
It's gotten better. I mean, it's and that's one thing, that I think. I mean, I don't know if my technique has improved, but I know my breathing has.
So for me, it's like, to me, I feel like jiu-jitsu, you can only learn a lot of the things, the beneficial things of jiu-jitsu by rolling. Jiu-jitsu is rolling. Like I would have never learned the life lessons of jiu-jitsu without rolling. And that means like the ego thing, like leaving your ego out of everything. And the prejudice or judgment of others. You know what I mean? Like judging a book by their cover.
Oh, like someone that doesn't look tough, but
exactly.
Killer,
Like and learning those lessons. Like, dude, I'm 46 years old, and those lessons are amazing. Just like the respect that you learn and you have for people from rolling with them is just it's really powerful.
I 100%. And the reason why some schools, whether they want to say it or not, the reason why some schools keep you from training, from rolling, is because it's theoretically better for the business, for the money, because it'll you sit there and but then it's just like a McDojo crap thing where
because rolling is hard,
right? Yeah,
it's hard on your body. It's hard on your yeah.
But if I touch you an armbar and you only drilled an armbar with someone who was letting you do it, after a few weeks you're going to think, I'm the fucking man at arm bars, and you're not, because you haven't applied it to a resisting opponent. But it also allows it to be more accessible for certain people who maybe have like, let's just say like older people or smaller people who are not like in the best athletic shape. Which is a good thing, but like I said, we make adjustments for those for people that can't do the rolling, but on the whole, if you keep everyone from it can be better for business, but I will gladly sacrifice a percentage of the business to like better accomplish the purpose of a jiu-jitsu school, and everybody has a different purpose for it, but for me it's not. I mean, I make money, and I'm happy that I do, but it's not the reason. I could have made more money doing something else, you know. So that's why I think it's necessary. So I get why people do those things, why other schools do those things, but I don't think you won't find too many high level champions coming out of those schools that are like, oh, no rolling for you, you know. So yeah.
I like experiencing the evolution of all of us in the class as we get a chance to roll with each other. And what I mean by that is there'll be sessions. There were sessions where I got 5 or 6 arm bars, and then that never happened again. You know, because
your training partners pick up on
they
things,
evolved,
right?
or you know, the same with a head and arm choke. Like I'm having a much harder time getting that now because I've gotten a bunch of guys into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now when they come to roll with you, they're like, "This is that guy that got me in that."
Yeah. I'm not gonna let that happen again.
Right. But that's cool. That's how you get good fast. Is like you. Like collectively, you you tap this guy out with this thing, then he learns how to counter, and then you got to be like, how do I counter that counter? And then it's back and forth thing, you know. I think one of the best tools that I had training was I have a solid ability to remember my rolls really well. So like if I roll with someone, I can roll with someone that I rolled with like 6 months ago, and I haven't seen him since, and then I'm like, I remember you doing this thing, and then I can counter it. So like. That type of stuff is like, that's how you get good fast, and that can never happen if you're only drilling, you know, not rolling to blue belt. I remember the school that you would go, and if you were a white belt, you couldn't roll, but you also couldn't leave, so you sat on the side, and if you were lucky enough for a higher belt to be like, you get in here, then you could get one roll. I was like, I wasn't in the class. I was like, I think I was there for kickboxing or something. I was like watching it happen. I was like, who pays for this? Why would you? Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure. All right, we're probably getting close to time, huh? We can wrap it up there. Hey, well, shoot, we should have mentioned this earlier. But if you're still with us at this point in the video, we're gonna add in we're gonna start doing some segments, I think, right? And one of the segments we want to do is like a question and answer thing. So if you have a question that you want to ask any of us, leave it in. You can leave it in the comments, or you can email it to prismbjj@gmail.com. prismbjj@gmail.com. Send us your questions, and we'll answer them in the podcast. And then, was there anything else we're going to add? I think that's it. Okay. You could check, so subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, all that stuff. Help us push the videos. You can find our school at Prism Jiu Jitsu on pretty much everything. You can find me at Nick Angeloni 155, pretty much everything. You don't really have a jiu-jitsu Instagram, right? You just have your comics one, right? Yeah, if you're into comics, check out Ian. And also, if you're just into Ian, check out Ian. What's your Instagram?
It's Hoodrat Comics. You just go to hoodratcomics.com and you can find my YouTube. That's just all comic stuff. I'm a comic guy.
There you go. You have another podcast, right?
Yeah, and that'll take you straight to my podcast. So there's no jiu-jitsu on there, so nice. I try to keep them clear of each other.
Nerds tend to like jiu-jitsu, and nerds tend to like comics. So there's some crossover for sure. And then how can people, if you want to look you up?
I'm on Instagram at eijiphoto 2.0.
Nice.
So I'm into photography.
Nice. Yeah. So check out his work. You can follow his jiu-jitsu journey. And there's some hot chicks on his Instagram page too, so it's always a good follow. So, all right, guys, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Out.